Hey folks, what's going on? Aunt Pruitt here. Hope y'all are doing well. I am not quite worn out, but I am a little exhausted. But it's time for This Is Not a Podcast. No, kidding. This is this is the weekly or somewhat weekly hangout on air with the smartphone photographers community. We get together and call this little thing point and shoot. What we like to do is sit down and talk about different tips and tricks and ideas and findings that we have that can help people take better photos with their smartphones, because these things, you got them in your pocket all the time. They have pretty decent cameras on them, so utilize them and get the most out of them. That's how we roll. We also do a weekly challenge, and it's only amongst the community members, that is, and we just vote on it and talk about those shots that we have. So anyway, I'm going to move right into this thing and allow the folks that have joined me on air tonight to introduce themselves. We will go with ladies first. Now, coming from the East Coast, Miss Annette Holland.
Annette Holland, mom, geek, Android evangelist.
Yes.
I think that covers just about everything.
And coffee aficionado.
Yes. I need at least 2 cups.
At least 2.
Am I down to 2, 3? Very large cups. At least 2 very large cups.
You got it bad. How you doing?
Yeah. Doing okay. Just finished. Actually, not finished. My bedroom is still full of boxes. Just moved to Boston last week, 2 weeks ago. It's all blowing together. But anyway, yeah.
I know that.
So I'm now on the East Coast, transplant from California.
Yeah, how crazy is that?
I miss the sun.
This time last year, you were on the
really
sunny coast of California.
The sun does come back eventually.
And not even able to do this because I was commuting.
Oh, wow.
Always had these when I was commuting.
That's right, I remember, because it was always like 6 p.m. over there. Well, yeah. I'm glad I got you here on the Eastern time zone now, so you can join us a little more regularly. Not pulling your arm or anything, Just a second. Appreciate you joining us.
I have to temper the opinions of Joey and Mike.
Of course. Appreciate you popping in.
Where are you, sweetie?
Next up, we'll stay in that whole Boston area. Let's go to my man, the geek questioner, Charlie Hoover. What's going on, man?
It's been a week. I'll just say it's been a week. So I just got through doing a workshop on iPhones, and I've been running nonstop pretty much all week so far. So yeah, a little crazy, but that's kind of normal.
Crazier than here.
Well, you've gotten to Thursday, so you're all.
I never could get the hang of those.
Friday Eve.
You're almost
Friday
there, my
Eve.
man. You're almost there. Yeah, a little Friday.
Right.
It's good to see you, Mr. Hoover.
Yeah, it's good to see you too.
Next up, we'll continue here on the East Coast and just go up north a little bit more. What's up to my man, Mr. Joey Kelly?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. 4 hours north of Boston area, here in the lovely metropolis. Not really. That is the Bangor, Maine area. Yeah. And by the way, I agree that I never did get the hang of Thursdays, but I do take some solace in knowing that my home nor my planet has been demolished by an interspace bypass. So.
But do you have your towel?
I always have my towel, and one corner of it is always soaked in antidepressants.
What is this? What is that from?
That's coffee and chocolate.
Come on, man.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yes.
Okay. You know what? It's on my Plex.
We almost had to kick you out of your own hangout.
Mini-series and the movie. It's on my Plex.
Oh no, I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
The movie was pretty funny.
The movie was
The
awful.
audiobook. You have to listen. You need the BBC audiobook version.
Oh really?
Which
The Goldbound leather edition is also a good start.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, but all right, hold on a minute. First
But
of all,
he does audiobooks.
there's been at least a half a dozen different versions of it recorded or done on movies.
Every version's different.
Yeah, the BBC
Okay.
one is like radically different from the book,
Uh-huh.
and the movie is, in my opinion, really there was some horrible misjustices done in the book in the movie, in my opinion.
Huh.
Which
Just
movie?
the one with
1980s or the most recent.
the most recent one.
What I saw had most death in it.
Yeah.
That's the most
Zaphoid
recent
Beagle
one.
Brox.
You really need to do the BBC.
Okay. I'll add it to the queue.
Anyway, so for moving on, this is not our 40-second hangout by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Mr. Joe Kelly, welcome. And as always, it's good to see you.
Yes.
Lastly, we'll head on over to the Southwest. My man, Mr. Michael King. Hopefully he's still awake.
I am. I'm just tired. It's been a hell of a week. First of all, with all the flooding, then the storms last night, and then I get a call from a friend of mine that a demolition company in Boston came down to do some work and tore down a house by mistake. A friend of mine's house in Dallas that was damaged by the tornado. And that's what they said. Oops.
You can't do
That's how they
Control
said it.
Z
Was
for
this
that.
was this one of Trump's construction companies?
Where they said Google Streets had the wrong address, and so they were blaming it on Google Maps. Oh my God, I heard about that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
You gotta be
That made the
kidding.
news in
There were two
California.
houses.
They
There were
they
two
never
houses.
they never look at the freaking number on the front of the house. They just said, "Oh, Google Maps says we're here. Let's knock the thing down."
That
Yeah.
is so horrible.
Oh my God.
Well, the work order says 18, and this is 20, but the map says
But the maps-
Right. And basically what it was, they were almost finished their house being rebuilt, repaired.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Well, now they have a chance to do it for the third time,
Oh, my
and they'll
gosh.
know they'll get it right.
Oh my gosh.
So-
my foot would be up so many asses right now in Texas.
Oh,
my God.
they're not very happy. And then, I don't want to say what they were calling the blankety blank Yankee demolition company.
I would imagine it's probably not fit for women or children
Jeez.
or church-going folk.
No. As I heard about it, I talked to them today. He said, I heard on something on the news, and that was them. Said, guess what? Our house that we were almost ready to move back in. We were just still finishing up. They just said they just demolished it.
Oh wow. Well, Mr. King, it's good to see you, and good to see that they didn't accidentally come your way. Good grief. Appreciate
We've
you
had it
hanging
bad
out
here.
with us.
I just got our power back half an hour ago.
Oh wow.
And
Alright.
because
Well, let's go ahead
I
and
told
get
you
rolling.
about the houses that got burnt down. They were on down the street. Power lines went down and fell on top of three houses.
Lord have mercy. All right.
It's been a hell of a week.
Let's go ahead and get started here. I want to go a little bit different pace, if you will, this evening. Ideally, we start out with our challenge. Why can't I talk? I must be exhausted. Ideally, we
Where's your
start out
whiskey?
with our challenge. Well, I got the IPA going.
I hate to tell you this, but this whole thing's a dream right now. You're
That is
asleep at your
funny.
keyboard.
Okay, that is.
If
fun.
I'm a character in his dream, he's been using something an awful lot stronger than IPA, whiskey, or bourbon.
Hey, you know,
This is true.
to each their own.
Because I'm just saying, because he's going to start playing Pink Floyd albums, and they're going to start making sense.
Oh my gosh, no. But no, I want to change it up. Normally we would start out with our challenge and talk about what the challenge topic was and look at the photos. But I think we should look at some big news in the world of photography, which comes from our wonderful folks at Google, and they released a so-called plugin package from Nik Software. Now, when I first saw this link, it came from Annette, but like immediately after that, I saw it
Five of
from
us posted it.
yeah, like 3 or 4 other people in the community. So I figured, this might be important. But guess what? I have yet to read it just yet. So, Mr. Kelly and Miss Holland, I'm pretty sure you two are pretty well versed on this thing.
And me, I got it too. I have one of the paid versions.
So
Go ahead, Annette.
I have a Nikon camera, but I've never used the Nik software.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I use it all the time.
Well, because I was using Picasa.
Right.
Well,
and see, Joey,
yeah.
you were in the same boat, right?
Picasso.
You use Picasso all the time, right?
Yeah, here is my little. I get the link from the community, and I think I actually saw it from our geek questioner, not the original version from Annette. And I'm like, oh, they've released something for free, and it's photo related. They're going to do a new version of a piece of software that's going to be Picasso-like.
Right.
And then, much like my hopes for that new Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie, my hopes were dashed.
How
because
so? What
all
happened?
it is a sodding package of previously costly editing thingies for Photoshop. It's a templates and presets and blah, 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 blah for a photo package that is expensive. I'm sorry, even at $10 or $5 a freaking month, it's expensive.
Oh, go ahead,
I'm
Annette.
cheap.
Okay, so I'm cheap too, but I do the Creative Cloud subscription for photographers, $10 a month, and my daughter uses it all the time.
Yeah.
But mainly for Lightroom, not for Photoshop.
Yeah, but that's because you can afford to go to
Nikon
Starbucks with your
camera.
highfalutin tastes. You know.
Well,
No, I don't. I subscribe from Jolly Roger. So if you like well-roasted coffee, get Jolly Roger.
Yes.
I'll
Indeed.
Now,
hook you
you
up
wanna
with
hear-
some of the best Ethiopian.
I know a lot about the Nik
Starbucks is
plugin.
downwind from there.
Yeah.
What you saying, Mr. King?
In Boston, it's all Dunkin' around here.
Heck yeah.
What were we
I know.
saying?
Heart
I
disease.
found a Panera. That
Well,
was
you know, heart disease runs on Duncan.
Hold on. Let's go to Mr.
Exactly.
King. What you got, Mr. King?
I know a lot about the Nik plugins because I use them in Lightroom, and when it was still a viable product, Aperture, and I'm a little pissed.
Because you spent a lot of money on it previously?
Ooh, about $500 worth.
Well, isn't that the way of the world, though? I mean, not just with...
But I'm not lucky enough. I've had it for a long time, and they every time there's a update, they will update it. Now it's free, so I've already, I got my money's worth out of it, but I'm still a little miffed a little bit. But I use those a lot, and it did update them, and I checked them out just a while ago, and everything I got is in both my Lightroom and my Aperture, because Aperture still works until
now.
Apple decides next OS update is going to be sorry,
Right.
you're going to have to use Photos, which is a piece of there's another rant of mine, which is a piece of crap.
So Annette, this
Yeah.
thing is basically
Yeah,
a
like-
bunch of preset adjustments for you to use, whether you're trying to put
Instagram
this,
on your computer.
as I'm saying, it's a different filter, if you will.
Yeah.
There's like
So,
HDR.
At one time, I tried Nik. So when it was announced that Google was partnering or buying Nik, I checked it out, and it was almost the same thing as Snapseed. So this was
Snapseed.
2 or 3 years ago.
Yep.
So it was like, why have two pieces of software that do the same thing? And I thought they were going to make more out of the partnership with Nik. That would have been good.
Right.
Well, do you know how many Nikon users there are? No, I won't get into that, but anyway.
Interesting.
So,
It's free,
Really?
so I'm going to
I
check
just
it out.
stuck with Picasa,
Yep.
which is now dying, and they still haven't decided what they're going to do for those of us who use Blogger, and Picasa hosts our photos.
Well, maybe
okay,
we'll
first-
see something within the next 2 months with the developer conference coming around the corner.
Well,
Yes.
okay, hang on just a second. They have announced what they're going to do for those that are using Picasa with the web
But
version,
not
and
for
that's to use
Blogger.
right, and that's to move everything to Google Photos, which, depending upon your situation, may or may not be a valid or viable alternative. The vast majority of the people that I had using Picasa were not uploading to Picasa webs. web, excuse me. They were using it to email photos, edit stuff. My buddy Sean, who's a very good photographer, would scan slides, tweak them in Picasa, and then have prints made. They were using it offline, which to me is probably
That was a telling sign, huh?
Yeah, and they're probably unable to track that. So I have a sneaking suspicion there's an awful lot more people out there that were using Picasa than they ever knew.
Yeah.
I can actually speak to that because of what I do for a living. I have probably installed over the last, however long it's been around, since Picasa was a program that, since Google gave it away.
Since before
2004?
No, I've been using it since before Google bought it. It was always free.
When Google bought it, they let it out for free. That's when I started putting it on clients' machines for local dealing with photos.
Nice.
And I've probably personally installed it on a couple of thousand machines.
Yep.
Nice.
So, but that's not unless you do the photo backup part that they just sort of recently added, like in the last year or two.
Yep.
There was no way that they knew you were even using it unless you were sending emails through your Gmail account using it.
Yep.
And even then, it used a
so
third party.
I have to disagree because I've been using it since my daughter was 2, so 11 years. Like I said, before Google bought Picasa, and you had to go online to share it. So you could do it from the web, but it still sent it through a web service to send the email for shared albums.
Well,
Right.
no, we're not saying shared albums. So the way that I
shared albums the way that Google does it, but how Joey was saying people use it offline and will email photos to friends and whatever.
Yep.
You still created an online album.
Sounded like what Flickr does.
No, and that you're wrong.
You're right.
Because you didn't have to create an offline album to email the photos. You could literally have it shrink the JPEGs down to a smaller size automatically and either email it through a Gmail account or email it through a third-party mailer. And I had customers using it both ways.
That's how
and that's the way I had it set up.
So I did that, but I would also send a link to the album if it was too big. A lot of my family have dial-up, so
and I get that. So
go ahead, Charlie.
So you're not wrong. I mean, that is something that you can do, because I've done it. But the less sophisticated users would literally select like 3 or 4 photos. That would be their album, and they would just send those as an attachment. Like that's 90% of what. And this is a lot of clients. I mean,
right.
They were terrified of the idea of putting something on the web and then sharing it, so they would never touch that. Even though they should have done it, they didn't. They would actually send, and I saw multiple. You wouldn't believe how horribly inefficient. They would send like 5 pictures and then send another email with the next 5 pictures, and then and it's like. And I think people all have these relatives that would do this to you.
Yep.
And it's like, what are you? And then, or they would select like 100 photos, and they would all come out as like thumbnail-sized ones, because they would shrink the picture down, because they should have been doing what you said, but they weren't, because like they were terrified of the web. So
and they still are.
What I guess what I'm saying is the reason why they don't have metrics is because they made something that worked too well offline.
Yep.
And
but
they don't have
what
metrics.
It was designed to do it was a photo management tool.
Yes.
And then they started adding all this other stuff, and then they changed the I'm feeling lucky and the filters and
Once again, Google takes
the photo editing tools in Picasa before they tried to make it more Google Photos were so much better than what's available now. They took away so many features, and
yeah, the Photos online editing is not up to snuff anymore. It's gotten worse, if you ask me.
Google has some weird
ideas.
ideas.
I'd rather go to Aviary or PicMonkey. Actually, I use PicMonkey a lot when I'm not using Pixlr.
I mean, the simple fact is that for those of us that have extremely large, both in volume and extremely large in gigabytes, photo collections, any online editing or any service like Google Photos that requires you to upload the picture before you edit it is completely impractical. I mean, I'm scanning slides here that are 180 megabytes a piece for a TIFF file, and then expecting to edit them. And it's completely unreasonable to then expect me to upload 180 megs just to crop and color tweak. You know, that's not okay. And there's an awful lot of people that have offline photo editing needs. And again, I don't think Google fully understands how many people were using that software, because I know for a fact when I used to install it, the first thing I unchecked was send anonymous usage statistics to Google.
Oh,
And
good call.
you know,
Oh,
so
I used to I used to not turn that on too, but like I said, I've installed it literally thousands of times.
yeah,
So
that's my point.
I'm
is
probably
that
one of the ones
yeah.
that screwed us all.
Yeah, good job,
me
Charlie.
too.
Thank
Thanks.
you. I mean, you're welcome.
Yep. You jerk. Anyway,
I've been called worse today, so go for it.
me too.
Well, that's Nik Software. What is this thing? Nik collection of plugins that are now available for free for anybody that's specifically using Lightroom and Photoshop. Because outside of that, it's totally useless. Is that the
Well, also if you on the Mac side, it will go work with. I just looked. It will look with Aperture, and it will work with Photos, with the new Photos app.
By
So
the
it
way,
does work with that.
for what it's worth, on the Picasa front, they're still allowing it to be downloaded, even though they said they weren't going to. It's still up on the website.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is that whatever server that's running on, they just forgot which data center it's in, and they haven't been able to show
They're
it.
still hunting.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth, I downloaded the EXE, threw it in a zip file, and stuck it on my Dropbox, and just said, because if I need this for a customer, because I have people that, I'm not even kidding you, are literally Picasa dependent. They do not know how to use any other photo editing software, and they have no interest in learning.
Good call, Joey.
Yeah.
You got to do what you got to do sometimes.
Yeah. The problem is that my concern is that there will be, okay, fine, it works on Windows 10, but what happens when they come out with Windows 11 or 10.5 or
Oh no,
whatever?
10's the last version, didn't you hear?
Oh, horseradish.
Yeah, they said it's the last version, but they're gonna do it like they are actually got their copier going from Apple. Their next one's gonna be 10.1, 10.2, 3, 4, 11, all the way up to
They're just waiting for iOS 10, and then they're gonna have a merged Apple OS that's gonna be Apple OS 11.
Right.
Oh, heck, why don't we just call it Linux, because that's easier to say.
You got that right. All right, so let's move on. Let's go ahead and get into the challenge that we had. This time we had a 2-week challenge because I took last week off for a staycation.
You slacker.
Hey, shut it. But this thing was I looked forward to this challenge. Unfortunately, the shots that I was able to get were pretty daggone bad.
Yeah, me too.
With the exception of one. But this was fun. I really enjoy street photography. This was from my man Thomas Olson, and it's for black and white street photography. Black and white street photography. And we have our own discussions on what street photography is inside of the community. And I even mentioned, I know that some people couldn't necessarily get out, but there was still some leeway that you could have with street photography. Now, granted, everybody's probably not going to like that shot, but you still had that leeway, and we're still entitled to our opinions of said photos. But my biggest point was it definitely needed to be black and white, and it definitely needed to be a shot that's new, not something that was shot previously. Because I like to get people to, get active with their camera and get out and start shooting something for the projects and not necessarily go through their library and gallery and submit something. That's no challenge. That's a little bit so let's go ahead and who's racking their screens?
Charlie, are you typing?
Charlie, do I need to mute
No,
you?
that's me moving around.
Well, just
I'm
remember
not doing nothing.
not talk and hit the mute.
What?
Charlie Hoover muted you.
Just saying, the first person to get muted in the show was not me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Do you folks see my screen?
Yes.
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 All right, so we got a good bit of photos in here. I think it's like 20-something photos, which is outstanding. Thank you to everyone for their participation. So I'm just going to round robin here a little bit, and well, not round robin, but randomly pick a few of them before we look at our top vote earner. And the thing is, it's pretty close competition. I believe the top vote was 11 but we have a lot of 5, 6, 7s, even some 8s in there. So
At least
take
a
a
two-way tie for 8, yeah.
So we will take a pick at a few of these here. Let's start right here, over in the Spokane, Washington area, with my man Chris Syme. That is the correct way to pronounce his name. I think I got it this time. Chris Syme. Another successful mobile upload, he says. That's an inside joke. But he used Lightroom Mobile, and he cropped it down with Snapseed, and shot this on his Samsung Galaxy S6. Now, this speaks street photography to me, based on the things that I've seen with my own eyes almost every other day. Even here in the small town that I live in, there's always people out and about, especially artists and musicians, that are doing just this right here, sharing their love for whatever art that they're producing, and every now and then working for some tips. And I can't say I mess with this shot too much, because I think if he was to boost contrast a little bit more, he would lose some of the detail that he has here with his jeans and with his shirt, unless he was able to push up the shadows. But I think this is fine just the way it is, and I think it hits the mark with street photography as it catches this man in the moment. He doesn't know the camera is on him. It's just him doing what he does. You know what I'm saying? So let's start with some criticisms from the rest of you folks here. We'll go to Mr. Michael King first. Your thoughts on this shot?
Hang on just a second. Go someone. I'm coughing real bad.
Okay, mute yourself. We'll go to Charlie. Okay, we'll move to Annette. Jesus.
Yeah, either the brightness or the contrast needs to be turned up. Or it could be my screen. Hold on, let me turn off Flux. But, yeah, it is street photography. It doesn't seem very dynamic to me, though.
Nope, it's not. It's not at all. It's I don't mean anything disparaging by this, but it's run of the mill street photography. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not saying I don't like this shot. But this is exactly.
No. If it were part of a collection or something like Humans of New York, it might fit. But without the story, it's kind of generic.
I feel like maybe a different angle, like down lower, or like, because there's all that stuff at his feet there, all the whatever that artwork is and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, those appear to be pictures of other people.
It's like ZZ Top and whatnot.
Yeah, it's a ZZ Top.
Yeah, ZZ Top's in there. There's a Stevie Ray Vaughan picture.
Ray? Yeah, man.
You know.
What's the story? What's the story?
Dusty?
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Mr. King?
It's a good shot. Chris always takes good shots, but it's just kind of blah. It's not really spectacular. As I said, it's a good shot and everything, but there also all that artwork on the bottom is kind of distracting a little bit.
I don't find that art distracting, but I don't know. I'm curious to know what the art is about. I don't think it's distracting.
To see ZZ Top and all them.
I wonder if he's actually selling it, maybe. So I mean that's something that I do like about it. It at least makes me ask a question.
Right. Well, that's true. It does make you wonder: is this being sold or what? But it might be, because if you look on that top, looks like something that you can collect money on.
Right.
Or that's what he uses. Or that's what he uses to get
tips.
money whenever you buy, his playing.
Yeah, or maybe that's for tips. We don't know. But like I said, it's a standard street photography photo, and I dig it for that. And heck, he's got 8 votes now, 9, but it'll officially be 8 for his photo with his Galaxy S6. Mr. Kelly, you had any thoughts?
Once I come off mute, yes. I always have thoughts and opinions.
On the photo, that is.
Oh, on the photo. You can't give me an open-ended question.
Jeez.
Yeah, in a word, yes. Okay, first of all, street photography is not something that I regularly do. And actually, I never did get a shot I was happy enough with to get it into the contest.
Okay.
Probably should have worked a little harder. My fault, my bad. But we just don't have a culture up here in Maine of people hanging out on street corners.
Right.
Because to be brutally honest, the weather is only really suitable about that for that starting between April and May and ending in September or October.
Right.
So when you have a culture that's limited in terms of time frame, people don't congregate on street corners like they do in other places. So for me personally, just to see someone with what looks like a very elaborate spread sitting on a street corner is, quite interesting. Just to see it. That having been said, I agree with Michael King's comment about perhaps. Well, I'm sorry. No, it was Charlie's comment about perhaps a different angle. That might have done it, but what I'm more confused by, or what I would think would be perhaps a more interesting photo, would be to radically crop this and make the center of the picture either the gentleman's knee or the collection plate thing just below his knee and to the left, and make that the center of the photo, and just change the way it looks.
Drop the thing down.
Whoa.
A little further, right there. Stop.
Actually, no, the wrong direction.
You mean like have it kind of be like the focal point of the photo from with that like in the foreground kind of thing?
What I mean is that the brick wall behind him and this random dress on a mannequin is extremely distracting.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, come down from the top, lose everything up to about his headline,
yeah,
and then come in from the right. And
from over there too. Okay.
Yeah, and come in from the right and maybe even lose half the guitar, and come in from the top and lose that, And now we've created something that's a little more interesting. I would leave the picture frame corner.
I don't know about interesting, maybe more intimate.
That would work too.
Right there. Yeah, where you had it like that was perfect.
No.
And now you got to crop out that other side. You cropped out both ends like you showed.
Yep.
I think it would have been a much better picture.
And, I mean, as much as I am not the guy that tells people that they should be shooting into or out of the sun, this kind of cross-lighting, to me, doesn't necessarily produce the best, most interesting photos. It would have been perhaps more interesting had he snuck to the left of the frame, shot more into the sun, and focused the camera on either the sheet music or on the microphone that the gentleman is singing into, and then his face would have appeared in shadow, in profile.
Mm-hmm.
I disagree with you on that. I see what you're saying on that, but I disagree because I think because this is black and white, that cross-lighting works. In color, hell no. No, not at all.
And that's the artistic difference. I might have tried that, not liked it, and gone with this. It's possible. Again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. We're playing Monday morning quarterback here. It's easy to say, well, I would have
playing pretty bad
3 feet to the left and really changed this, and when you're not there and in the moment.
He might have been in a crowd of people. I mean, we don't
exactly. For all we know, this guy is tucked in a little corner, and there's something really big, and you couldn't move to that left-hand side if you tried. I gotta say, this is to me a very strong shot, and it deserves all of the votes that it got.
Mm-hmm.
If not a couple more.
All right, let's move on. So we don't take up too much time. There was this one. I like this one a lot. I don't necessarily care for the quality of the photo, as it looks a little out of focus. But the premise behind it, I love it. I absolutely love it. Excuse me, sorry for clearing my throat in the mic. But it just says love, and it just says walking down the street, and you just happen to see a nice happy scene between someone. And honestly, I don't get to see images and actions like this enough in today's world. You know what I'm saying? So whenever I see stuff like this, I really try to appreciate it. And this is coming from a man, Michael Rutherford, down in Texas. I believe he's in Texas. And I shot this with a Droid Turbo using a Better Camera app. Man, I haven't used that app in forever. Man. But that app, it had a lot of different manual controls in it.
Wait, his Droid Turbo still works?
That thing still works. Nice. I dig this, though. He says, I didn't notice these people, of course, which is street photography. And it may not be apparent, but she's taking pictures of her daughter. I'd be really happy with the subject of this one. If I could have comfortably taken a closer picture that was much sharper. Yeah, see, and again, that's the whole beauty behind street photography. Sometimes you're going to have to be stealthy, or there are some instances where you can just say, hey, I'm shooting you, don't worry about me. Well, probably not shooting you. I'm shooting pictures of you, don't worry about me back here. I know I've done that a time or two.
Refocus and rephrase that.
Yeah, you might not want to shout that at them. You might want to just sort of casually...
Don't worry, it's okay. I'm a photographer.
I know I've done that a time or two myself.
Don't worry, it's not loaded.
Just sit there, don't worry about it, but I'm snapping my photo. And they carry on, sometimes. Other times they're like, no, please don't.
And they're like, no, I need to sign. I need to have you sign a waiver that you're not going to mention this to my parole officer.
Exactly. But no, I dig this one, though. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Let's go with you, Mr. Hoover.
What was that? I like it. I don't know. I think the only problem is that the kid's a little blurry, but considering the kind of camera that it is, it's because it.
Yep, I give him credit because
he Droid Turbo, right?
Yeah, and he knew right off the bat. He's like, man, look, this thing, from a quality standpoint, it's not great, but it gives a story.
It totally, it does. I think pretty much mission accomplished. There's something going on in the far background. You got the ducks, you got the, I'd say, besides maybe getting the kid with their arm in mid-throw, which is really hard to do, I think you got pretty much, but that little kid with that particular camera, you would have had to have frozen the kid in place.
In place, yeah. Nice. Your thoughts, Miss Holla?
I want to crop it. That background is distracting. Bring it in to just the ducks and the two people, and maybe cut out the left and third. But it is a good photo. It does tell a story. Back it up just a little bit. Yeah.
And if you
you're gonna need another notepad to crop the other side.
And if you would also then crop from the other side of that fence, right at the fence pole, going towards the kid. The first pole of that second fence.
Forward,
right there.
Forward. Stop.
More to the right.
More to the right.
See, I like that better.
Right. Yeah, I like that.
I think what they're trying to get at is that if you come in from both sides and make it a vertical.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of cut, and then come up to about
make it a more intimate shot.
That would have been a lot better.
Because then it really focuses on the two of them.
Right.
Just have the ducks. Yeah.
If you came in there, if you have another way of getting another window, and just crop up like you did the other way.
Another notepad. Yeah.
And also.
Yeah, just open another notepad.
Right, and
coming into the bottom would work too.
Yeah, also that, and just come in the bottom and both sides, that'd been perfect.
Could almost do a Sweeney square crop.
Yeah, like you said, it makes it more intimate doing it that way.
Yeah. Ant, can you zoom in? That might help.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Little bit
right
more.
there, been a lot.
Yep.
If you hit one more time, I think I'll be great. Cause see,
Nope.
what you're doing now. You come.
Yeah, it won't let me zoom anymore.
Okay, well, you
Okay,
get it
well,
You get the
That's
idea.
right out there.
Okay.
right there now. Right there. That would have been a.
But that's
Oh, that's
better
it.
right there.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
we-
There
oh,
you
that's
go.
way better.
There you
That's
go.
Way
Yeah.
better.
Way better.
Perfect.
Yep.
That would have been a better shot.
Is it because it's more intimate?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Yes, 'cause
more
they-
about the subject. There's less
More
clutter.
intimate, less distracting detail from the background.
Right. There was too much clutter.
It's a lot easier to see the kid too, even though it is blurry.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Because before, with it zoomed out like that, you weren't sure where your eyes were supposed to focus, and you saw this sort of blob in the middle. But this, you were clear what's going on.
Yeah, because if you when you brought that other thing, that would have been perfect. That it would have made the shot so much more intimate. Because right there, it's like, okay. Like everybody says, what are you supposed to be looking at?
Yep.
The ducks, the mother, the kid. But when you bring it up close like that, and then crop on that other side, it made it so intimate, and then makes it. It makes the picture even better. I think.
Very, very interesting points by everyone. Nice.
well, I haven't really said a lot before. So before you go away, I hate to be the guy that always says this, but I like the photo. I like our cropped version of it a lot better. But this does not scream street to me.
Why not?
Well,
Why not? It is street.
Well, no, it's not. It's more like a shoreline or a dock.
That's street.
Technically,
it's not
street
city.
photography is any kind of, you're just taking a picture of
Public.
people. No, people.
Well, that
stuff like
depends. How are you defining street? Are you defining street as in, as you were just saying, it's any non-posed sort of random location people grab human interest shot, or is it photography taken literally on a street in cityscapes or in townscapes and whatnot? And to me personally, I always think of busy streets in places like New York City and Paris and London, and that's what I equate with street photography as almost a cliche. Now, Ant's throwing up the definition to annoy me, which is to say a candid type of photography done in a public place. Okay, all right, that's a more liberal version of it.
Right.
But
That's the whole point.
but to me, what I think, this doesn't scream street to me. It screams mother and daughter. It screams childhood. It screams innocence.
Joey, I'm going to interrupt you. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Is a landscape photograph strictly of the rolling hills and mountains and trees, in your opinion? Or is a landscape photograph a picture of rolling hills and mountains with a few houses on it?
It could be either.
And so this could be street photography too. It's not necessarily the street.
Yeah, but the difference is that. But the difference is that your analogy is not exactly correct. Another question would be: is a landscape just rolling hills, or is a landscape shooting from the top of a high building looking over a city?
Yeah,
that's also a landscape. It's a different form of landscape.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you do a tight shot on a single building,
right,
with other buildings behind it, you don't call that a landscape.
Correct.
This is my point. If you're doing a street photo,
but this isn't a tight shot. We had to crop it down.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is that it feels to me like it should be in a public place with hustle and bustle going around, and you capture a moment in time that is interesting and tells a story that's a small piece of a much larger street view. That's my take.
So that fits This is, you can tell it's a city because of the fence in the background.
The only thing missing is the
So it's
hustle.
probably a public space. So, they could be taking time out from the hustle and bustle, because MacArthur Park in LA, one of the busiest parks, you would see a scene like this. But as soon as you walk out of the park, it's LA.
Yeah. Well, again, this is what Ant was saying before when he was kicking off the not podcast, which is to say, another inside joke.
It's not a podcast. It says so right in the tin.
This is one of those things where it's a creative difference.
It is.
I tend to take specific forms and specific words and associate specific types of photography with them under a very strict guideline. Not everyone is that strict. For instance, not to pick on anybody, but whoever it was that posted that very cute dog photo that happens to be top left in the all-view pictures, that was Robert Carlos. Very cute little dog, but it's inside on a carpet.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Right,
really scream street.
No.
Right.
Now, I would have had, if I was allowed to use my pictures, I would have had some good street photography. Going down Main Street in this one town on an airboat.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, that would have been awesome.
These
All right,
things
let's
only
look at-
happen in Texas, folks.
Let's look at it one more.
Well,
before
after
we
20
get
inches
our
of rain
wedding
2
shot.
days
We
in a
running
row.
low
Was it
on
flooded?
time.
Oh, yes. Came up to the middle of the storefronts. The water came up to about chest deep.
Oh, it's opening the Fallout.
Now, see, this is why, based on the last conversation, I
Yeah, but
wanted
this
to
looks
look
like an
at this
outtake
shot.
from The Walking Dead.
It does.
But it tells a story, doesn't it? It's a
tells
zombie
a story.
apocalyptic story, but it's a,
Yes, it tells me the story of run to Michael King's house and get a gun.
It tells a story, and it begs the whole question of, hey, well, what's your thoughts on this being street, Joey? But I think this totally fits, and I think this is an excellent composition in editing with the way he has the highlights and the shadows.
like the woman in the foreground there,
And
and
the
like there's a guy going away from her, and yeah.
Well, it looks like he's coming towards her,
No,
I can't.
but it's sort of a menacing.
totally
look.
a sports game. I know.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
you
like-
see that's my problem is that I'm looking at the
soccer.
lights in the
It's soccer or
background.
baseball.
Yeah, or football.
Or football.
And
Yeah.
the thing is that you see that's the
Sports ball.
problem for me is that I'm looking at it and I'm going, this is not a street, this is a parking lot. And yeah, okay, I will give you the difference. I'll give you that may be a subtlety, but let me also back you up just one more notch.
Sure.
There is a rule, a freedom of speech that we have in this country that states that you can take photographs of anything you can see from a public area or a
Right.
public space.
Right.
Technically, a parking lot is not necessarily a public space.
Mm-hmm.
It may be publicly accessible,
Okay.
but if you do something stupid at your local strip mall, they can throw you out. And they can ban you from the property because it's their property, and they can bar you out. But they don't do that on a regular basis because they're entirely dependent upon bringing people in to buy at the food court and get their Gouda log or whatever. And but there is a fine line there between public and publicly accessible. And this is something that I've had to take up with people over the years because I've been accused of trespassing and taking shots that I couldn't when I was standing on publicly accessible property, but not public property.
You're right.
Now, I'll give you that maybe
Oh,
Looks
look
like
who's
we
here.
have someone joining in here. My man, Mr. Chris Syme. Uh-oh, but he's got an echo.
freedom of speech
Hey.
we have in this country.
Yay.
You have some headphones because you're echoing.
A little bit of lag.
Okay, hold on, let me mute it.
Also,
Whoa.
if you're watching us live while you've got the Hangout pulled up, there's going to be a weird echo.
Yeah,
Go,
turn the
go,
live
go.
feed off too.
Now,
9 o'clock.
Can
but
you hear us now, Chris?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
good.
we can
Oh,
hear
that sounds good now.
you. All right.
Excellent, excellent. How you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad. Actually, got off work early, and I just dropped my mouse, so hold on.
That's what
Lovely.
that's what I like.
Don't worry, the cat will get it.
Lovely, lovely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's continue to dig into Mr. McCusker's photo here. As I was saying, I totally dig this composition. He nailed it from a lighting aspect and from an intrigue, if you will. You guys were talking about the stadium lights and whatnot in the background. I never even made it that far. I'm still battling with what is she doing here? Is she holding something? What is she looking at? Oh shit, what is this dude looking at? Why is he coming at her with his arms
I
all
think he's walking
bowed
away.
out? You know, see, to me it looks like he's walking towards her, and his
Yeah, I thought
arms
so,
are
too.
bowed, and I mean,
I thought he was coming towards.
yeah, that's
yeah.
what it looks like.
I'm
to me.
looking close. I'm
I
also.
think clearly this is the first zombie that was turned.
Right.
And it's heading
There you
towards
go.
her.
Exactly, Charlie.
Because it's kind of got that shamble thing going. Just
Like I said, I
just
didn't
saying
even
we're
get
seeing
past-
patient zero, and we should call somebody. That's all.
Okay, if I was at home, I would have. For this one, I actually have a zombie gun.
Oh gosh.
It
Anyway,
shoots
no
zombies,
joke.
like zombies
Speaking
shoot
of
out of it,
zombies.
or-
Yeah,
Mr.
it's
Simon, you there?
it's a AR-10, AR-15.
Miss-
It's all
that's okay.
painted up for zombies,
That's okay,
for
Mr.
killing
King.
zombies.
Mr. King, that's okay. Thank you.
Only
Mr.
Mr.
Simon,
King
you
would
there?
have.
I'm not getting a page. It's trying to reload.
Oh,
I
okay.
can't. I don't have a picture, and it wants me to kill it. So
Uh-oh. You want to hop out and hop back in? That's fine.
yeah, I'll try it. See what happens.
Okay.
Okay.
Annette, your thoughts on this one?
I actually like this one a lot, mainly because of the lighting and the composition. On first glance, you've got a line going from the dark all the way to, I'm guessing that's the sun center.
Right. Right.
So that drew
Oh,
my
the
eye
light.
most of all,
The
so
light.
that you're not paying attention to the stadium lights until you take a really good look at it.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
All right. King, your thoughts?
Unlike the bearded wonder over there in Maine, I love this. You're right. It does look like something off of Walking Dead, and I didn't at first. I didn't really realize it was a stadium until someone mentioned it. I just thought it was just a great shot, way it's composed and everything, and it looks like post-apocalyptic type photograph, and I mean it's just fabulous.
I know
Again,
this dude lives out in the desert, so that's all I saw was just desert landscape. Didn't even notice the lights.
I didn't either. As I said, unlike the bearded wonder over there, I think this is a great shot.
All right, we have Mr. Sign back. Can you hear us okay, my man?
Yep.
All right. What are your thoughts on this photo?
Oh yeah, this is one of the ones I like. Yeah, definitely. I like just the time of day, for sure. And it could be anywhere. It almost kind of looks like it could be like a Walmart parking lot or something, but it kind of almost gives me like a, old memories of like a drive-in theater or something.
Ooh.
Kind of got a lot of like nostalgic type
Oh, yeah.
You know,
feel about it a little bit.
since you mentioned that, you're right.
Or
it does look like
or they're going to the ballpark, or maybe it's after like some auto races or something.
Well, it's the ambiguity that makes it a good
But,
photo.
right.
Yeah.
As I said, that's the other thing I didn't realize until you mentioned it. It does look like something you see from a drive-in movie or whatever. Because I remember those things from many, many moons ago.
Now, what he did
We'll have them.
shoot this at the monster truck races. That I do know because of his other shots that he submitted in here, but we won't look at that. But
You'd never know.
that answers some of that interest there. What
Well, that
about you, Mr.
explains why I
Kelly?
have this undying desire to yell, Sunday, Sunday, Sunday!
That could just be having a microphone in front of you.
Yeah. Now, by the way, just to correct Mr. King's little comment about my bearded wonder hating the shot, that is not what I said.
Mhm.
What I said was I question if this is technically street photography because it's not in a street, it's in a parking lot. But
That's what I'm talking about, Bob.
Right.
But
with that said,
taking that part of it away,
Yes,
this
proceed.
is an incredibly well composed, well edited, and awesome picture that I would be completely and totally 112% jumping up and down. Looky what I took with my camera.
Damn
Okay.
right. Damn right.
I can take nothing away from the shot. I don't think I would do anything differently with the possibility of doing a vertical instead of a horizontal or cropping it such, but that is completely and totally an aesthetic, and that's even an option as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
It is a great shot. It was, and the editing job was supremely well done. So my only comment, my only negative is that I'm not sure it truly meets a street because it's not in a street, it's in a parking lot. But
Word.
Aside from that, wonderful picture. Absolutely wonderful.
Again, he shot this. I don't believe I mentioned it previously, but he shot this with his LG G4 using his trusty editor of choice, Photoshop Express.
Yeah, you people with your Photoshop.
No. That's the Express. I believe that one's. I think that one's like $2 on the app, something like that.
Ooh, maybe I might have to buy that one.
Yeah, if you sign in with your Adobe ID, all the premium are free.
Oh, it's. Say that again, Annette. Say that one more time.
Ooh.
Annette, you there?
Okay, so if you happen to have an Adobe ID,
Yeah.
if you sign in with your Adobe ID, which you might have from, using digital editions or Lightroom on the web or whatever, you get all of the premium looks for free. You don't even have to buy it. Right now they're giving them away to anybody who has an Adobe ID.
Wow. Did not know that. Huh. All right. So
It's amazing. Sorry, just as an aside, it's amazing how many people are the mobile. Everything is freaking mobile. It is amazing that people are willing to give away an app that has so much capability on a mobile device and yet charge so ridiculously much for something that's on a desktop. And I wonder if that's going to change.
Well, there's a plan behind that.
All right, Chris, we can hear you. You sound like you're rapping.
Okay, I think I got him now.
Oh,
yeah, you got him.
I tell you, I like to use Lightroom on my iPad Pro. That is fabulous way you can do that.
Right.
That's where I do all my. That's where I do most of my editing. I'll edit it on the iPad Pro, then I'll send it back over to my iPhone.
All right. So let's look at the winning shot, or top vote getter, that is. And you know what? I guess we got a repeat winner. Now that I think about it. All right, this shot comes from my man Thomas Olson. Annette Holland, did I mute you accidentally? Are you there?
I see a mute symbol on her.
Yeah, I see the mute symbol. Oh, I think she muted herself.
Okay, Annette, can you unmute yourself? I think I did it.
No, I didn't. Aunt muted me.
Okay, now I hear you. Good. Okay.
Well, I just
muting in
finally
that
got a good stream here going. I had to
I'm not
totally
talking that
back
much.
out.
Hang in there, Chris. Hang in there, brother. All right, so let's look at the top vote getter here from now repeat winner, Mr. Thomas Olson. He uses a Galaxy S6 Edge Plus. Process this in Snapseed crop to boost the contrast, light touch of tonal contrast, as he says. Street photography? Hell yeah. This almost reminds me of a magazine ad, just flipping through.
Yep.
And it just looks like a random magazine ad, probably talking about stress management or jackets or jean sales or something. It would have nothing to do with this right here on the screen, usually. This is well done. He if anything, he can cut out this wall here because this wall doesn't necessarily add anything to this photo, in my opinion. But this is still pretty daggum good.
Well, that guy looks like he's had a rough day of time travel.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. So yeah, if I take that wall out, that looks good just like that.
Perfect.
This doesn't necessarily help it. That right
Well,
there looks
it gives
good just like
context
Oh, yeah, it looks
because
great.
that could be a magazine shoot instead of street photography. So
Uh-huh.
you can tell the guys walking along the street.
Spoiler.
It gives
but
a little
that's
more context unless you're
Yeah.
paying attention to the street, the
To the
cobblestones
background,
behind him.
yeah.
Yeah.
What are any other thoughts on that, Annette?
No, this one was great. He's walking down the street, passes a huge ad, but definitely fits all the criteria. And it does look like a magazine shot.
I mean, the guy is blinking in the photograph. I mean, how candid can that be? How stealthy can you get on that? You catch him in the middle of the blink as they're walking by. As they're walking by, and it's still in pretty good focus too. That's a damn good job, my man. Damn good job. Mr. Sign, what are your thoughts on this shot?
well, yeah, I mean, looking at it, I thought it was like, looked like a Armani shop or something like that. And hey, that could be Armani himself, after a hard day's of work and he's heading home. But I agree with the wall though on the side. If you cropped it too much, then yeah, it definitely is going to look a little bit more like an ad, maybe out of a magazine. But yeah, I definitely say street photography for sure on it. You could tell, just that moment of time, looking at him, and he's obviously on his way somewhere, and he's probably like kind of eager to get there.
Get me out of here, please get me out of here.
But I don't know if he used, a little bit of HD, because it kind of looks like there's a little halo glow maybe around him, tiny bit. But
yeah, right there.
Yeah, or if that's just maybe the sunlight was hitting him, from the back. I don't see much. We don't see any shadowing on the ground or anything.
There's no shadow over here. Interesting.
But yeah, I don't know where the photo was taken. It kind of almost looks like it was taken maybe in Europe somewhere.
Yeah, I think he is in Europe. I think
yeah.
He's in Europe.
And the styling of the guy's outfit and everything.
He is.
I think it may be Germany.
Yeah, because that's German. He's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just over there last October, so yeah, that's kind of just it reminds me of like being just back there like last fall. That was kind of a lot of us things you'd see in some of the bigger cities and.
Right.
Why would you go to Germany in October?
Yeah.
Yes.
We took like one of those Viking river cruises, and so we went we were in the Czech Republic all the way to Paris.
Nice.
Dude,
So that was really cool.
That had to be a heck of a time that time of year. Nice.
Yeah, it was nice actually. It's not as busy not as too crowded. I mean, Paris was obviously pretty crowded around a lot of the touristy spots, but
Right. Your thoughts on this, Mr. Kelly?
I like it. I don't know why, but for some reason I just want to scream out the chameleon circuit is stuck.
Yeah, I was gonna say spoiler alert. This is the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, seriously, I'm like, okay. The Doctor's gone to denim.
So many nerds in this hangout. Oh my gosh.
Hey, don't forget, one of them wore a top coat.
It would go great with his Doc Martin.
Oh my gosh. Nerds
Wow.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Baker.
Go ahead, Joey.
I like the shot. It definitely is one of the things that I consider to be a classic street photo, in that you have got someone being photographed in front of something and it's a totally organic shot. There's no way it can be posed. Very little way it can be posed, and it feels like a grab, like a snap shot, for lack of a better term. and I like that.
And it's on the street.
Yeah, and it's on the street. There's no question that this is a street and a sidewalk, because you don't put up advertisements that big in the middle of a gymnasium. It's not. It's definitely taken on the street, of the street, and it feels very, very, very authentic and real. I love the contrast and the textures that he's introduced, because I have a sneaking suspicion that brick doesn't look quite that good in real life, or have just that much texture. And I like the lighting on the shot. It's
that probably
slightly
came from
backlit.
tonal adjustments.
Yep. I like the way it's been tweaked. I like the. I just like the shot. I don't think I would do anything different. Anything different with the person or with the with the pose that he's in might make it look more like a portrait and less like a street photo. And I really do like it as is.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that it would be more powerful in a gallery of similar pictures.
Right.
Because
similar to like the one that we looked at earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so some of these photos, when you start talking about something like street, photos, or even still lifes, are probably an even easier analogy to make. It's very difficult to tell a story with a single image. I mean, I have a picture I absolutely love of an oil can that I found in the middle of the woods, and in and of itself, it's a great shot, but it doesn't really tell you a story. You'd have to have other shots showing decayed buildings and stuff like that in the area in order to really set the scene for it. And I think that this is one of those shots that would benefit from being in a group of similar shots, maybe even taken on the same day in the same location.
Mr. King?
I think my first thought was, where the hell is K9? And where the hell did I park the TARDIS? Because that's everybody's on the same page with that. That's what it looks like, even though he's no Timothy Baker.
Nerds.
But I tell you, I just love this shot. Everything. I have to agree with what everybody says. It's just a gorgeous shot, and it does speak street photography. I just tell you, I don't know what I've done differently.
Well, let me just put on here. Congrats, winner.
Yeah. I'd give it 2 sonic screwdrivers up.
Oh, that's the other thing.
Gosh.
No, that's the other thing. I forgot about that. It said, oh my.
4.
Oh my gosh, he really has.
Okay, where I gotta go get it.
No. We're getting ready to get out of here, man.
I gotta go. If he has got sonic screwdrivers, I gotta get my
Gonna be off
collection
the
of lightsabers.
Jeez.
Oh, jeez.
All
I got 6 of them.
That was a fun challenge. And Thomas Olson, congrats to you. You're on the clock now for getting us another theme for our next challenge for the community. So appreciate all of the participation that we had on this. This was a lot of fun, and I truly feel bad that I wasn't able to pull off a photo that was worthy enough to submit into the challenge. Excuse me, but it was still a lot of fun trying though. All right, we're going to get out of here. I'm going to allow everybody in here to sign off and let us know where we can find any of their musings, their work, or projects they're working on, and just say peace. Let's start. And we'll go back over to the West Coast there, to my man, Mr. Syme. Where do we find you and your musings?
Oh, well, you can obviously find me on Google+. And I'm also on Instagram at GURKHA. And I also contribute photos to our the Downtown Spokane Partnership Instagram, also just hashtag Downtown Spokane. And you'll find a lot of stuff I contribute to there. But yeah.
This is what, the second time you've been able to come on air with us?
No, I think this is like the first time.
Yeah, that's the first.
I'm usually working.
Listens. Oh.
So yeah, like right now, I just took off work early, and then.
It seems like you were on one time before, because I remember
Oh,
you
yeah,
taking a photo with the security and.
Oh yeah, we were out. Yeah, I was actually working, so
Yeah.
I just pitched in on our phone, and I was like, "Hey, yeah, join
It's
in
like,
for a minute.
this'll work.
Yeah. Yeah, selfie cam portable moving around.
Well, it's nice to see you in here, my
Yeah,
man. We're glad
sure.
to have you anytime you can join. So thank you so much.
Yeah, I'll try to get on some more hopefully in the future. So.
Word. All right. Now let's jump down to the Southwest. Mr. Michael King, where do we find you and your musings?
I can be found maybe tomorrow back in Bernie. Otherwise, I can be found on Instagram, Flickr, Facebook, Google Plus. It's either Michael King or Michael King 4023, and I can also be found on the third Saturday of the month at the Houston area Apple Users Group.
All right. What's that called again?
Hog. And that's what our logo is, a hog eating an apple.
Appreciate you joining us. It's always good chatting with you out here. All right. We'll head on across to the east. Let's go up to Boston area. Let's start with my man Charlie Hoover. Where do we find you and your work and musings that you got going on?
Oh, well, mostly on Google Plus, obviously. I've got the newly minted Geek Questioner podcast. So
yeah.
No idea what the bloody hell I'm doing, which is kind of why I'm trying to push you into just calling this what it is. It's
Okay,
really
hold on.
an RSS feed, and
Podcast
you're
or is it
not.
not a podcast?
It's nothing to do with iPods anymore. They don't even sell these.
There's no RSS feeds on this. Nope.
Well, I'll just have to make one, won't I?
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Hangcast.
But other than that, I mean, in terms of photography stuff, I mean, I think I'm Geek Questioner over on Instagram. I forget what my username is there. I think that's what it is.
That sounds right.
But other than that, yeah, just G+. Just follow me. I do Geekscapes and Geek Questions and that kind of stuff. So
Lots of interesting content from Charlie Hoover. Folks. Lots of interesting content. Appreciate you joining, my man. Good talking to you as always.
Yeah, good to talk to you too.
Next up, we'll go to his neighbor-ish, Miss Annette Holland. Where do we find you and your work?
Everything is linked off AnnetteHolland.com. So that's my blog, and it's got links. I thought you were going to
say it was in a box in a corner.
No, my online life is still online.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, AnnetteHolland.com. It's got links to my Flickr, Instagram, G+, Twitter, everything except Facebook. It even links to my LinkedIn. So, yeah.
One-stop shopping. Called Getting Inside My Head or something like that?
You've been following me for a long time. It used to be. I changed it this last August to refocus because I'm trying to. But nice. A lot of the same content. Just trying to be more focused.
I dig it. A lot of good content from Annette as well, folks. Thank you for joining us, ladies. Good to see you as always.
Thank you. Fun to be here.
Right. Lastly, we'll head on up to a little bit north of these folks. My man, Mr. Joey Kelly. Looks like we can find him on said website showing on the screen. What is that, Mr. Kelly? You can't talk. Or maybe he's not there.
He's
right,
muted
so
himself.
He's muted now. All right, so that is Mr. Joey Kelly. You can find him on joeykelly.com. That's JoeyKelley.com, where he links to all of his other projects and findings and musings and social networks and whatnot. Mr. Kelly does a lot of IT services as well as host. He's a co-host on an Android podcast, Attack of the Androids, on Tuesday nights, I believe.
No, we just moved it again, and to be honest, that show is getting less and less predictable because of all of our busy personal lives.
Oh, no.
So the best thing to do is to look at attackoftheandroids.com for listings. We're trying to do it Monday nights, but we seem to be making it about every other week. Sound familiar, Ant?
Hey, shut it.
But yes, I've even got Ant. He's heard my little advertisement for JoeyKelly.com so many times that he even knows it by heart. But one of the things I don't talk about enough is the quotes that I have collected and I keep on here. Such things as knowledge is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting it in a salad.
Damn right.
In a fruit salad. Excuse me.
Preach it. Nice quote, my man.
So I try.
Appreciate you joining us as always, Mr. Kelly.
Oh, it's always a pleasure to be here. I really do genuinely look forward to this group and all of the photos every week. I have found that it has driven me to keep my photography going and I have found that I have taken better photographs as a result of using my smartphone, even when I'm using my SLR.
Excellent. That's good to hear. Good to know. Thank you again, my man. All right. Lastly, myself. I am Ant Pruitt. Find me on here at the wonderful world of Google Plus as my chair has me slouching. My posture isn't that bad, Mom. I know. I'm sorry. Find me on antpruitt.com on Google Plus under Ant Pruitt, and also on YouTube with what's my YouTube address? Yeah, youtube.com/Ant Pruitt. You'll find all kinds of little random stuff from me. I'm finally turning the corner a little bit on my focus. I've had the last 5 days of being off on vacation was much needed, and right now when I open my eyes, I don't see smoke in front of me, so that's good. So if you're able to take some time off, folks, I highly, highly recommend it. Highly recommend
Vacation? What the hell's that?
I said vacation or staycation. Do what you got to do. HR normally mandates it. All right, but yeah, find me there on those different links. Be sure to check out smartphone-photographers.com if you're interested in joining the smartphone photographers community. Number one, you have to be active on Google Plus. I've gotten a lot of people saying they want to join the community, but as soon as I say Google Plus, I get the big deer in headlights looks like, what the heck is a Google Plus? If you're not on it, it's just not going to happen. Sorry. But let me know if you're interested in joining, or hit up any of the moderators, and we'll do a little semi-background check to make sure you're not a spammer and will actually fit in with this community to help contribute to sharing information, tidbits, tips, and tricks, and resources and whatnot, as well as some pretty badass photos. Okay, we're going to get out of here, and I hope to talk to you folks next Thursday at about 9 p.m. Eastern time, and we'll have another challenge and another discussion about smartphone photography. Thanks for the support. Be sure to click like and subscribe, and we'll catch y'all later on.